What's up, you guys? It's IAmTheLionRider, and it wouldn't be a new DLC if it wasn't for one of my classic IAmTheLionRider prop tier list videos. So, I have not forgotten, even though we technically didn't get any official scenery or anything associated with this pack and a new theme or anything, we did technically get new props with the 1.5 update, and enough to at least make a tier list video. So as you can see, I have all the props here. It's not all that many, but I definitely wanted to kind of talk about, each one individually. Some, including the billboard and stuff, kind of will be rated differently depending on how you use them, but obviously different, scenarios. But we have all of the new scenario and campaign mission statues. We have all the new signs, as well as billboards and associated pieces. So without further ado, let's kind of get started. So the first thing I want to actually rate are the signs that are associated with this pack. So we got signs for every animal with the exception of the leaf insect and the babirusa. We have no idea why the babirusa sign was delayed, but my guess is it's just going to be a different type of sign. My guess is the artwork just wasn't done in time. We can kind of tell by the binturong that they were kind of a bit behind schedule with this pack, so it's pretty safe to say that that'll probably be coming in the free 1.5.1 update or whatever to do some bug fixes. But the interesting thing about all of the signs, which I can kind of address, all of them seem to be following roughly a different aesthetic based off of an existing style of pack. So if we look at the different signs, as an example, the binturong sign kind of closely resembles the Australia signs of like the kangaroo and dingo and stuff. Similarly, the dhole sign very much mirrors the classic Planet Zoo aesthetic. If I can find it, here it is. So it very closely resembles these signs right here. Similarly, the over here, the clouded leopard kind of resembles the aquatic pack signs, and they all sort of have similar things. The sun bear kind of resembles the North America New World design. So it's a little odd, because I will say this is a little like weird situation. They don't all fit the same theme, so it's going to be really hard to make a Southeast Asian pack with consistent signage. Now, with billboards, you're obviously able to do that. But it is weird that they chose to choose like random themes for each one, even though they don't really fit all that well. But without further ado, let's kind of get started. So the first ones that I want to judge together are the Malayan tapir signs. I really love these signs. Wait, are they flexicolor? Oh, okay. That kind of took it to a whole new level. So these signs, as signs, are easily A tier. They're probably some of my favorite signs in the game. I really love how detailed they are. I love the aesthetic of them. They're really, really good. I love the painterly aesthetic with these. They look really, really nice. There's nothing quite like these signs. I will say they're vaguely in line with the other East Asia signs. Kind of visually, they kind of look like if you took this panda and like cut it out and made it a statue. Or a sign, I mean. But they look really good. I think these are very zoo friendly. You're going to be able to use these in any exhibit where you're going to have a Malayan tapir. So as a sign, these two signs work very, very well. So I think they are easily an A tier sign. Next up is the binturong sign. This one's a little bit weird. So it's not my favorite. It's kind of usable. You could probably make the argument that this could probably be used for like a red panda as well, but since it's kind of like a brown aesthetic, it doesn't really fit the East Asia theme at all. I might even say this is a D tier. This isn't a very good sign. Like, it's barely recognizable as a binturong. It's not really that in theme with the rest of the pack. Like, as I mentioned, the Malayan tapir, very easily identifiable. That's the Malayan tapir. Some of the signs in the East Asia pack, though, don't really work. So this binturong, going with the Australia aesthetic doesn't work because binturongs don't live in Australia, so you're probably not going to have signage that would match that. Now, a similar thing, so the dhole actually looks very good. I love these signs. These are also flexicolor on the sides. That's awesome. I think these kind of go along with the Malayan tapir. because they went with the very clean, stylized Planet Zoo look of the painterly effect, they work really, really well. So I think these are gonna, you know, you could place these next to any of the other general Planet Zoo animals, your jaguars, your giraffes, your hippos, etc., and it's gonna line up aesthetically. So I kind of wish that if they were to do one consistent theme with any of the animals, it would have been this for the signage. So I think that is probably one of the better signs. Next up, we have the clouded leopard. So the clouded leopard signs, they're not quite there for me because they're not bad for sure. So I'm gonna put them in B tier. They're not actually that bad. They just don't really, again, they're not as detailed as the Malayan tapir or the dhole, but they don't look bad. It's very easily recognizable as a clouded leopard. But since no other animal kind of has this art style in the game, other than, I guess you could, like I said, the aquatic pack animal signs sort of have a similar aesthetic. They're not quite there, but you could kind of make the argument that they're sort of close. But I don't think it's bad by any means. It definitely represents the clouded leopard quite well. I just wish it was a more consistent art style. And that kind of is how I feel about all of the signs in particular. I wish they were more consistent. I think it's very weird what they did. And similarly, here we go. We have the sun bear. So the sun bear signs are very bizarre. I'm not going to lie. They're very, very weird. So they are three-dimensional, but from the sides, but very stylized in their approach. Again, they very, very much resemble the grizzly bear sign from the New World theme. But again, it just doesn't make sense, because if you're going for like the New World aesthetic, it doesn't really make sense to put a Southeast Asian animal in that theme. And that's just the biggest issue with all of these signs. Binturongs don't live in Australia. Sun bears don't live in North America. Clouded leopards aren't aquatic animals. Like, none of these animals belong in the themed sets that they put them in. Other than, like I said, the dhole and the Malayan tapir get away with it because they are general Planet Zoo themed signs. So the last one up is probably the biggest weird choice. This one, the proboscis monkey sign, D tier as well. It just doesn't work. It's kind of going for like that minimalistic kind of like conservation zoo logo, but I just don't really think it reads as a proboscis monkey if you're just glancing at it, and I don't really think it's visually that interesting. It's not a bad logo. Like, if there was some sort of like in-game conservation logo that they needed and they used this logo, the proboscis monkey, as the animal for it, I wouldn't have an issue. It's just, as a sign, I don't think it's particularly useful for anything. And since it's not even flexicolor, it's kind of weird. You could kind of argue it sort of is in line with maybe some of the African signs, but not even. It's kind of its own unique thing. Very minimalistic, but a weird logo choice. So that's kind of my rankings. We don't have any F tiers or anything. None of these signs are bad. They're just not good, except for the A tier. The A tier is definitely, like, these are really nice signs. B tier is also pretty good. These last three, though, 4 technically. It's not really my cup of tea. So next up, let's rank the new statues. So I have every statue here. Now, I went ahead and I kind of ranked the orangutan here will represent every type of statue and its usability. So like I said, as always, I rank my tier list based off of usability, not necessarily quality. So if I was just going off of color or something, right, it doesn't really matter. So some people are going to really enjoy the bronze statues. Others are really going to enjoy the silver. Others are really going to enjoy the gold. But I'm going to kind of represent each individually. So I think, as an example, right, and I could probably just duplicate it right here, the limestone statues, which I will represent by a orangutan, like I said. The limestone are easily A tier. These are all the statues that we wanted. Like, every statue with a consistent theme that you could use in any zoo, the limestone ones are definitely the way to go. So I think this works really well. Now, a little gripe I have is, and it's not really their fault, the statues don't quite have the same texture or scale of the existing limestone statues. So if I pull up like the gorilla and hippo statues, they're quite large relative to the statues we got. It's not a bad thing, it's just kind of a nitpicky thing that I kind of wish that we had, but I also understand why they did that, and it's also for a good reason when we rank them. So limestone, A tier. Now, next up, we have bronze. So bronze are not bad looking, but I would say they're going to be B tier. They're not going to be the most appealing looking statues. Like if you had a bronze statue in a zoo, it's fine. It's just, it would have been nicer if they did the copper statue aesthetic for all of the bronze. That would have been a nice option. So if I was to redo this thing, I would have done the following. If you got the bronze medals on everything, you would have gotten the bronze orangutan right here, or any other animal, whatever. And you also would have gotten the copper version of this animal. Next up, we have silver. So silver, I think is actually, I'm gonna change some things. Silver is a B tier. I'm gonna move copper down a peg to C tier, and it's for this reason. The silver statues, I think I could believe a zoo would realistically maybe have a silver statue. Bronze and gold are a lot rarer in zoos, so I would say that these two statues, gold, weirdly enough, being in D tier, even a peg down, because even though it's kind of a nice flex that you could be like, look, I have the gold statue of every animal, it's a lot less interesting visually. Like, it's kind of just a thing that you would just flex, like, look, I have a gold bison statue. I did every campaign and got hard or whatever. Like, I did it on hard mode. I got the highest achievement with the gold statue. It's a flex, but let's face it, creatively, who is going to really choose to use the gold statues? Probably not that many people. So that is the only reason I'm putting the gold statues in D tier, bronze in C tier, silver in B tier, and like I said, the limestone in A tier. Now, the best thing they could have done that I was kind of explaining is if bronze was given the limestone statue, if silver was given the copper statue, and then gold was also given the flexi-color statue to match with the aquatic pack animals. Because I think those statues, like the caiman statue as an example, that are flexi-color, are probably the best. Because you can just change it to whatever color you want. And that is what we really would have preferred. So I think from that perspective, if they allowed that to be the thing, now that would have been a ton of props. But it would have been nice, because I feel like that would have been the most usable ones that we could have gotten. So now to get into the actual animals. So we have a lot of animal statues, and I love pretty much all of these. Every single one of these is not bad. I will say that right off the bat. These are all great, and they're all going to have really good uses. So let's kind of start with, let's go with the classic, the lion. So this is the very first statue that everyone gets for free. So this statue, I actually really like. I think this is a B tier. Now, you might be going, but Nick, don't we already have the lion statue? And that's sort of true, but I have to give him credit. The lion statue that we all thought was already in the game is technically different. It's very similar in pose and stuff, but this statue is actually a lot better in my opinion because it's less stylized and it just overall like looks a lot nicer and it's a better scale, I'd say. And so I think from this perspective, this is a very good statue. I really like the lion statue far more than the existing limestone version. So this is going to be a great addition, and like I said, it's free, so that also gives it some extra bonus points. Next up, we have the caribou statue, or the reindeer statue. So this one isn't bad, but I'm definitely going to say it's probably a C tier. It's not the greatest statue. I don't know many people that are going to have caribou statues in their zoo, but it's definitely a leg up from the red deer, which isn't even in the game. So this statue, at least, is representative of the Arctic animals, and that is really nice. Next up, we have the Babirusa. So this is one of my favorite animals in this pack, maybe not favorite statue. So I'm going to say that it's probably a B tier. Really good. I love the detail on the normal map. It looks really, really good. And it's a fun pose. So I actually really, really like this statue. Next up, we have the pangolin. So the pangolin, in my opinion, it's not the best. It's a cool animal. I like the pangolin normally. It's not the greatest pose. It kind of looks a little bit weird, and I don't know how many pangolin statues people are going to be putting in their zoos. So probably D tier. It's a pangolin, so, you know, judge it as you will. Now the iguana. Now you might be thinking, well, iguana's an exhibit animal. I don't really care about it. But you know what? This is actually going to be A tier, and I'm going to do all of these next to each other. The crocodile as well is also A tier, and it's going to go next to the iguana. The, what is it? The rattlesnake is also going to be in this category. Now you might be like, what are you doing? Because here's where I see the value of these three. Rattlesnake less so than the others, but I will say this. These three statues are going to make reptile houses really, really nice looking. As an example, I could take a limestone wall, which we can just, you know, demo really, really quickly. So let's grab a normal limestone wall. Here we go, right? And here's how you're going to use it. If you're detailing the side of a reptile house, you're going to take this crocodile and you're going to shove it in the wall. Next up, you're going to take the existing caiman statue that is already from the aquatic pack, and you're going to shove that face into the wall. Next up, you're going to take the iguana, like I said, and shove that statue into the wall. And what you're able to do, if you probably rotate the iguana a little bit, is you're basically just adding essentially kind of things like the Bronx Zoo's World of Reptiles to your reptile house. You can decorate the wall and stuff with the animal heads. And if you just change the caiman and stuff, you can basically get the approximate color, right? And so you're just able to detail the wall with these awesome statues now. And that's going to be the perk of a lot of these. So if you don't want to just place down your normal reptiles and stuff, you can definitely use these in stuff like reptile houses. And if you want to make a big cat house, we'll kind of do that category next. Like I said, the new lion statue, really, really good. But so is the new tiger statue. So the tiger statue is our very first S tier prop, in my opinion. So the tiger statue is so useful because it is a vague big cat. So you're going to be able to use this in jaguar habitats, lion habitats, snow leopard habitats, tiger habitats. Any big cat can use this statue, and it kind of works. Put this next to the lion statue, and you essentially have a male and female lion, and no one would really know the difference. So this is actually probably one of the most useful statues because it's a vague animal, and that is really, really nice. Next up, the tapir. Again, I'm going to kind of put it in A tier as well because you can kind of use it not only for the Malayan tapir, but the Beard's tapir as well. And so technically it is the Beard's tapir statue, but because both animals look so similar, you can use this statue to represent both of them quite well. Next up, the kangaroo statue. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's not a bad statue by any means, but it definitely, like, you know, it's only going to be useful for Australia areas and specifically kangaroos. So, but it's not a bad statue. I really like it. I think it works quite well. I don't think any of these statues are bad. That's what I will say right off the bat. Similarly, the bison statue. I think the bison statue, once again, looks really good. Probably a B tier. I think if you want it in a North America area, it'll work quite well. So, bison, B tier, right off the bat. It keeps deleting it on me, sorry. Stop deleting my bison. There we go. Click, click. Cool. Exit. There we go. So next up, we have the giraffe statue. So the giraffe statue, you know what? I think I'm going to put it in A tier, just because I really like how we finally have such a classic zoo animal like a giraffe as a statue. I think this was missing from a lot of stuff. We had a lot of African animal statues going into this, before we even had all of these statues. But the giraffe was definitely one that I was hoping would get a non-stylized version of it because it is such an iconic zoo animal. Not everyone wanted the weird Africanized statue of like an abstract giraffe head or neck. So a standard limestone giraffe is really, really nice, and I really appreciate that we finally got it. Next up, we have the bear statue, which, once again, similar to the big cat statue, or the tiger statue specifically. The bear, very useful. You can use it for both the grizzly bear, Himalayan brown bear, probably the Formosan black bear if you really wanted, and basically every other bear. So from that perspective, that is going to be a very good looking bear. So next up, we have the Indian rhino statue. So the Indian rhino statue, S tier, but not for the reason you would think. So the rhino on its own is a very good looking statue, but it's very good if you wanted the original version of the copper statue of, I guess, what was originally the hippopotamus. So the copper hippo, if we look at it, or what do they call it? It might be considered bronze or something. What do they call it? The bronze hippo. So if you look at this, this was clearly inspired by the Bronx Zoo elephant house. And what is in front of the Bronx Zoo elephant house? The Indian rhino. So the Indian rhino is a statue that looks exactly like this in real life in the Bronx Zoo. And I'll move it down to A tier for one reason. And that is only the fact that because we don't actually have the copper tone of the hippo or anything, it kind of makes this statue a lot less appealing if you were to do a Bronx Zoo elephant house style building or recreation. But it's still a very good statue. The detailing looks really, really good. And I'm sure a lot of people are just really happy that we finally have a type of rhino statue in the game. Next up, the macaque statue. Similar to the reptile house idea, you could definitely use this in conjunction with the gorilla and orangutan for that matter, to make a monkey house by just sticking the monkey on top of the building and stuff. The macaque is the perfect monkey to represent it. It's just an old world monkey that's very vague, and it kind of represents all monkeys very, very well. So that's probably an S tier. Next up, we have the wolf. So the wolf statue, again, S tier, represents all canines. Arctic wolf, dingo, dhole, timber wolf, wild dog. Every dog pretty much can use this timber wolf statue. So, again, the S tier right now is basically just animals that have vague, are vague in nature, and due to that, you can use them for multiple animals. So those are probably the main reason. The flamingo statue. I like it, but it's probably going to go into D tier. It's not bad. It's not the highest quality statue, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know how many people would use a flamingo realistically as a statue. Now, you could maybe do a cool fountain design with it, but I don't think it would be anything spectacular. The giant panda statue. Significantly better than the current creepy panda statue that's already in the game. And it's, more in line with the theme. Not crazy about the design. You know what? The panda, though, I think it's kind of weird looking. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of looks a little funky. So I'm kind of going to put it in C tier. It's just, something looks wrong with it. I don't know. It's not terrible. It's just, it looks a little weird. The actual orangutan statue, I kind of am fine putting it in A tier where it belongs, where I used it to represent everything. The detailing is just so good on the statue that it's just hard not to put it in A tier. They clearly did a very, very good job with baking the normal map. And so the last of these statues that we have left to do is the penguin, which I will just kind of put in, frankly, C tier. It's middle of the road, because the issue is we already sort of have the much better version of this exact same statue, just slightly larger, that's flexicolor. But if you wanted like a baby penguin, there you go. It's not even really what a baby penguin looks like, but that's why it's just kind of middle of the road. If you wanted a better version, just use the FlexiColor one available with the aquatic pack. So that kind of covers all of the statues. So now we have to address the big elephant in the room, which are, of course, the billboards. So the billboards are the newest thing that were added with this pack. And I actually have to probably turn on my power settings, so let's turn on power everything. There we go. Apply, and there we go. So now we can check out all of the billboards. So I'm going to rate these based entirely off of their sizing and usability. So the most common one is going to be your 4-meter size. And this one is very good. I really like this statue or sign. It looks pretty good. You're going to be able to do a lot with it. This is going to be your standard kind of zoo sign. I'm going to probably put it in S tier. This is easily going to be your most useful billboard. I'm sure a lot of people are going to use it. Similarly, the 4x4 sign. So this is going to be S tier as well. And if you notice, it perfectly lines up with the walls. And that's because this is going to be your faux wall texture sign. So this is going to be the one that you're going to want to, if possible, use to create custom wallpaper or something of that nature. I don't have any things done right now, but as you would see right here, you would use this to basically decorate flooring, decorate walls, and it's going to work really well. So if you want like custom textures of walls, this is going to be the one you want to use, the 512 by 512. Definitely the best. Next up, we have the teeny tiny one. So this is the 1 meter tall sign, and this is probably also S tier. A lot of the billboards are going to be S tier. So this one is going to be useful if you want to create little signs. So if you wanted basically a teeny tiny little conservation board, if you wanted a teeny animal display sign, if you want to use it for exhibit animals, this is going to be your go-to. But the other plus is if you were to make a small enough image, you could combine these to make a large image of any size you want. So that is also going to be really good. I don't know if someone like Just Goron is going to want to use them, but that is an excellent, use for it, is creating signs kind of like what he's created with pieces. So next up, these are literally going to be bigger than the actual thing, but we have the 8 meter and I believe it's the 16 meter. I think I'm going to put the 8 meter in A tier. It's good. Actually, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this in B tier because this one is pretty good. I like, obviously it's a billboard, really, really good. You can get everything you want out of it. It looks really, really good. But the larger one is going to be good for one purpose. This is A tier, but, pretend this is A tier. And it's good for one thing, and I actually might be able to represent it, and that is this. It's going to be your open ocean tank. If you wanted to create something that is an aquarium or something, this is going to be the sign you want to use. You want to use it for whale shark tanks. You're just going to put this against a wall, light it up, get a better video than what I have. I just grabbed a GIF from the Georgia Aquarium. But that is what you're going to use this for. This is going to be your big aquarium tank, your bat caves, your open ocean tanks, even if you wanted to just find some documentaries or something, this is going to be good for like a movie theater type deal. If you want to do what Haribo did, where you create like the Planet Earth movie theater, this is going to be the screen you're going to use. So from that perspective, that is going to be very, very good. Next up, we have the last 3 little things. So we have the mount pole, the mount ceiling, and the mount wall. We're going to start with the mount pole. It is FlexiColor, which is good. So that's a fun little thing. This is not bad. It's not a bad prop, but it's not a good prop either, I'll be honest. It's a pole. So I'm going to kind of put it in D tier. It's a prop. It's a pole. There's nothing to it. But the last 2 pieces. Mount ceiling. This is going to be useful. First off, pretty good looking if you wanted to make it a fire hydrant. So I'm literally going to put it in B tier. It's not bad. It's flexi color. That's really great. But here is probably the new best piece in the game. The screen mount wall. This piece, if you wanted a rival to the Planet Zoo bracket, is going to give it a run for its money. Because unlike the bracket, where you'd use the tip of one piece, or of both of them, this only has one knob. So this is actually probably going to destroy the greatest prop in the game so far, the Planet Zoo sign bracket, because it's flexi-color, just like it, but it's even smaller. So if you want those teeny tiny details, this is going to be the best prop. So who knew that the screen mount wall would be the kind of like golden child of this entire pack? Like I said, for once, there is no F tiers. They did a really good job. So even though we didn't have scenery, they did a really good job providing us some really quality scenery just on an unofficial level. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching the video. I can't wait to see what everyone does with their billboards. It's going to be great. These statues, really, really nice. I hope Frontier maybe makes a copper or bronze, an actual true bronze version of these in the future to match the like hippo and gorilla and stuff. But past that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I still have more on the way, of course, and I will see you next time.